If you could change any choice you have ever made, would you? You can always make another choice and change the course of your success. Everyone has the potency to make inspired choices. Get ready to listen, share, and experience the creativity that is you. Now, here is the host of the Inspired Choices Show, business optimization expert, Christine McIver.
That's right. That's me. Welcome, everyone. I am Christine McIver. I am the host of the Inspired Choices Show, a show all about business, about how you can grow your business, how you can move through your challenges, and how you can have pleasure in your business. Today, we are talking all about, do you have a business or a hobby? And I know that many of us go in and out of that question sometimes, or we avoid that question. We don't want to think about it, but it's an important one we definitely need to be looking at. So before we jump into today's show, I want to tell you a little bit about who I am. Christine McIver. I'm a business optimization expert. I work with clients, business owners who are absolutely 100% ready for more, but lost in the sea of tasks, lost in the sea of how do I do that, or feeling like they're not good enough. I love working with clients to really show them the truth of who they are and where the gaps are. There's nothing wrong with you. If you have a desire on your heart for your business absolutely can come to life and can be prosperous, and you can have fun doing that. That lots of times business owners are doing the job as of a business owner, but they're not enjoying it. And that's just not right. So that's something that I do one-on-one with my clients. I do group sessions as well. I am the CEO of the Inspired Choices Network, a podcast, radio show, TV platform. We also have summits and we also do publishing. So there's a lot of things that I have been doing in business which qualifies me to have this conversation with you today. So if you have any questions throughout the show, if you can't listen to the entire thing, do check back in for the full recording, or you can always send me an email, Christine@ChristineMcIver.com. That's CHRISTINE, and McIver is MCIVER, or you can check out my website, ChristineMcIver.com. Okay, let's get into today's show. Do you have a business or a hobby? How do you know for sure if you're operating as a business or playing it like it's a hobby? The objective of this show is to enlighten you, the business owner, to recognize where you may be operating more like a hobbyist rather than an entrepreneur. Many businesses begin as a hobby and do shift to a legitimate business. But how do you know you didn't do the opposite? What are the markers for such an evaluation? So today, we're going to talk about practical strategies, psychology tools to highlight the key signs and behaviors that may indicate a business owner is treating their venture as a hobby rather than a sustainable, profit-driven business. We're going to talk about how would you know? How would you know if you're being a hobbyist or you're being a business owner? What can you do to actually be a business owner rather than a hobbyist, or maybe vice versa? And what are the actual signs that this isn't something for you? So we're going to get into all that. If you have any questions, you can absolutely join us in the chat room. Just come on over to inspiredchoicesnetwork.com/chat room, and we can answer your questions there. So first and foremost, let's talk about the hobbyist piece. So most people, when they start out with a business, unless they've been in business before, or they've been, they've gone to business school, or they've been tutored with the intention of starting a business, most businesses have started out because you, the business owner, or a business owner, has gotten very excited about something they enjoy. And oftentimes they enjoy that so much, they're excited. Other people are watching them, and other people often say to them, hey, you should do that as a business. Or, hey, have you ever thought about doing that as a business? You could make money doing that. Or you've helped somebody out with something that you're really good at, and they actually say, can I pay you for that? And you're like, no, I just enjoy doing it. Why wouldn't you pay for it? Why wouldn't you let me pay for it? Right? That's oftentimes where businesses do begin. And there's absolutely no problem with that at all. The challenge is that you, the business owner, jump into a business when you don't have the support mechanisms around you. It's kind of like building a house and picking out the paint color before you've picked out the land you're going to build the house on. That's often where hobbyists begin with their business. And that's a very, very hard mountain to climb, because you are going to be learning as you are building, and it is challenging as can be. There's surprises after surprises about, like little things like the tax man. What do you have to do at tax time? Or I didn't know that. I didn't know that was going to cost me more money if I did my business that way. Or people wanting to pay you and you don't know how to receive the money. You don't have those systems set up. That is very, very challenging. Now, there's another point around being a hobbyist and moving into a business, which a lot of people don't think about. And I want to tell you a little story. So, a lot of people have a hobby that they love, and it kind of is that hobby that takes them away from the stresses of life and something that just has them lost in joy. And when someone has suggested that they started as a business, and because they're good at it, they say yes, farther down the line in doing the business, they actually end up resenting. They end up resenting doing that job, and it turns into a job that's no longer filled with joy. So, one of the things that I love to do, I wouldn't necessarily call it a hobby, but something I love to do and I have great pleasure in doing and I get lost in doing, is baking pies. I love to make pies. I love to get my hands in. I'm really great at making pastry. I can make pastry so fast. I've actually had people, family members say, "Hey, can you come over and make me a whole bunch of pastries?" And I'll whip out like 8 to 10 pastries for them, and they'll put them in the freezer, and then they've got them to make a pie anytime they like. I love making pies. There lots of special occasions. I'll make 8 or 10 pies, and I'll have them for Thanksgiving or Easter or Christmas. And in fact, I've also made lots of pies, like over 30 pies for family members' weddings. I really love doing that. And on many occasions, I have had family members and people at these weddings come up to me and say, "Oh my gosh, do you do this for a living? Is this your business? Or you should do this for business. I loved your pies." I know my pies are good. I love my pies more than anybody else can love my pies. But here's the thing, I really sat with that and I really thought about, is that something that I want to be doing for a business? Am I good at it? Yes. Is it fun for me? Yes. Is it something I want to do as a business? And I got so much hesitation on that. And I realized that the reason I got so much hesitation on that was because I knew what would be required as a business owner. I'd worked in human resources in the hospitality field, and I knew all of the regulations. I knew all about the laws. I was going to be an accountant, so I know a lot about what it takes from a financial perspective, from a taxes perspective, all of the pieces that would be involved. And as I thought about all of these pieces that would be involved with my hobby, suddenly the joy started to drop. And I knew in that moment that that was not sustainable for me, that that wouldn't give me the excitement, the joy, the energy that I would be required to sustain it as a business day in and day out. I wanted to really keep it as something that I enjoyed. And so that was a no for me. So look at that from your whatever you're considering, or maybe something that started out as a hobby for you. Is it something that can sustain your joy? Because let's face it, my friends, being in your own business can be challenging at times. Being in your own business can really pull on your energy. It can pull on your belief in yourself. It can really, really challenge you to step up. Now, if you've never been in business before, you're going to grow. You're going to evolve. You're going to have challenging times, but you're also going to have rewarding times as well. But you've really got to look at what it is that you're considering doing in a business. Is that something that you can stay doing and sustain the energy and the desire to continue to do through the challenging times? That's one of the biggest questions that you need to look at. So I still make pies. I still love making pies, but that's not something that I'm going to be selling. That's not something that I'm going to be starting a business with. Even, I will teach other people, but I'm not interested in hiring people to create a business. And I've had lots of people challenge me on this. I just know that that's what's true for me. That's a big thing that you want to look at is be honest with yourself and be willing to own what you know about yourself. If your business idea is a no for you, if it popped up or somebody else kind of planted it with you and it's a no for you, you need to listen to that. You have more knowing about you than anybody else, even if you feel like you're lost, even if you feel like you wish somebody else would make a different choice. That's actually how the name Inspired Choices started out for me, is because I always wished that somebody else would make a better choice because I decided that I was very poor at making choices. The piece that I was missing was the inspired, because the inspired is something that is the spirit inside of us. It's something that inspires us to move forward with a choice. That's the piece that I was missing. Oftentimes, I was looking outside at what other people expected of me, what society expected, what I decided somebody else was successful at, and I would make a choice based on that, hoping that that would result for me the same as it had for them. How many of you are doing that? How many of you have done that in the past and you can see that your choices have led you down the path of unhappiness or not successful because it was somebody else's dream, it was somebody else's choice? So when you're making a choice, especially about starting a business, it needs to be an inspired business. It needs to be a business that lights you up. It doesn't matter what anybody else thinks they know. What you know is the most critical piece of this entire creation. So that's the first stage, is I really wanted you to understand about the difference between choosing yes to a business and not choosing yes to a business. And just because you don't choose yes to one business that you love or is a hobby doesn't mean you can't say yes to a different one. You can have many more things that you enjoy and that start out as a hobby that can sustain you. But it's all about you. It starts with you, the business owner. Every single piece of it starts with you. Don't get lost or distracted by the tasks or by making a beautiful website or by other people's praise. You need to spend time and go within. That's the psychology piece of this. It's extremely important that you pay attention to that for you. Okay, we are up to our first break. When we come back from our break, we're going to jump into some of the signs that you know you're operating as a business or you're operating as a hobby. So again, please reach out to me, Christine, at christinemciver.com. If you have any questions, if you'd like to learn more about working with me, you can always send me an email. We can start a conversation that way. I answer all my emails myself. So we will talk to you after this break. You're listening to Inspired Choices. I'm your host, Christine McIver, and today we're talking about how do you know if you have a business or a hobby. We'll be right back after this break.
Many of us make choices based on our past experiences or based on what others believe. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire for our futures? When you join the Inspired Choices show with business optimization expert Christine McIver, you'll be provoked to look at what is true and what you know, but may not choose, that requires your attention. Christine does not hold back. She brings all her expertise to every show. Are you ready to create and live the life you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email become a host at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Inspired Choices Show with business optimization expert Christine McIver. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine at inspiredchoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, my friends. If you're just joining, we are talking all about how do you know if you have a business or a hobby. If you didn't join us for the first segment, as I said, if you've just joined, in the first segment, we were talking about how most businesses have started out because of something that you've enjoyed, or you're going to learn as you build your business, which is a huge piece of building a business that most of us don't realize how much we're going to learn. And when you're looking at a business, you want to ask yourself, can I maintain the excitement of this business? Because it's the excitement that's going to get you up and out of bed every day to do your business. Now, some people start out with their business part-time. So they keep their full-time job and then they start a business part-time. That's a very intelligent way to start a business, especially if you haven't done a business before, you don't know all the pieces to starting a business, you don't have startup capital, or you're concerned about whether you're going to enjoy it or whether it's going to be successful. That's a really good thing to do, is to start it part-time. Now, before you jump in with both feet, and especially if you're doing this currently, you need to get some guiding advice about the things that you need to have in place to make things more enjoyable, much easier for you. As I said, a lot of people will start a business out of a hobby. And, let's go back to the example of if I was going to start the pie business, right? So what do I have in place for starting the pie business? I love pies. I love making pies. I'm good at making pies. I can make pies with my eyes closed. Okay, cool. So we've got the product and we've got the manufacturing ability, right? But what isn't in place? What isn't in place to maintain the success or even the startup? Well, if I was going to start a business with making pies, I would immediately think, okay, I need to go get supplies, right? So you would go get all the supplies. You would go get the flour. I use Tenderflake. That's my pie product of choice. And you would need to get eggs, and you would need to get baking soda. All of those pieces, and then the types of pies that you were going to make. You would need to get the filling and so on. But that's actually not what you need first. What you need first is you need to think about, okay, so what are the systems that I need to have in place so when I want to lead people to look at what I'm providing, what I'm offering, and then when they want to purchase this, are there regulations that I need to have in place? Can I be doing this out of my home? If I do it out of my home and it's against the law, what's going to happen? Those are the pieces that we need to put into place first. We need to do a deep dive into what are the basic systems, what are the basic legal parameters that I need to be aware of if I'm going to go into this business. And speaking to a business mentor, or better yet, hire a business coach. Even if you hired a business coach for 1 month and they looked at all the pieces, you would be probably 80 to 90% more educated in starting a business than most people who have already started a business, right? Most people start a business on a whim. They start a business because it was a hobby and somebody said, hey, you should do that. They don't sit down with a business plan. They don't sit down understanding a lot of the pieces that are going to be required. So if you are someone who is thinking about starting your own business, or you're in your own business and you want to look at, how do I know that I'm actually running a business and it's not a hobby? Well, here's one of the first things. One of the first things is, how frustrated are you by the number of things that are not completed in your business for you to be able to succeed at earning income? How frustrated are you by the number of things that are not completed? So if you're someone who is just over here focusing on the production, right? And you are ignoring the pieces that need to be in place. You started a website, but it's not up yet. You haven't bothered to go look at the legal, the taxes. You don't have a bookkeeper. You haven't taken a course in bookkeeping to know what you need to be tracking. You don't have any systems in place, although in the back of your mind, you know that there are systems that you need to have in place. Are you distracting yourself with one area of the business and ignoring, all the while knowing you shouldn't be, ignoring systems that you need to put in place? In that case, you are operating as a hobby. You are not operating as a business. Now, these are some hard truths that you might not be ready for, but it's important that if you really have this deep desire to succeed in business, you've got to look at the truth. And that's one of the things that people know about me. I'm going to speak the truth because I want you to succeed. I want to save you time and money, and most especially heartache. So look at the pieces. Look at the pieces of your business. What are you ignoring? Start making a list of the things that you are ignoring. At least have that conversation with yourself. Be honest with yourself. And you're not going to be good at everything in your business. Nobody is good at everything in their business. And if you think you are, you're not going to succeed, because you're going to try to wear all the hundreds of thousands of hats that are required as a business owner, and it's going to drain you. And it's going to drain you financially, because you're not going to have the time to focus on generating income. If you're great at the production piece, you're not going to have time to generate the production and to do the sales and the marketing if you have to spend hours and hours and hours trying to figure out the legal part of it, the bookkeeping, the accounting, the taxes, all of those pieces. I'll tell you something. There was a year where the business was really, really growing, and I had piles and piles of paperwork that I needed to look at. I was drowning, my friends, like you wouldn't believe. And I bought the lie that nobody else would be able to do my bookkeeping the way that I could do my bookkeeping. Well, the truth of the matter is that I was not doing my bookkeeping correctly. I was not doing it efficiently. Was I lying on my books? No, but I was doing it kind of like, I remember my mom said that when my dad was in his business, he would sit by candlelight at night and he would be doing the books by hand. And, finally he transferred the books to a bookkeeper and to an accounting firm. And they were able to do it much more efficiently, much more accurately, and save a lot more money. How do we save money? By outsourcing areas that we are not an expert in. Somebody else can do it faster, find errors quicker, save us money down the line, and free up our time to focus on what we're great at. And most business owners are great at the production side of things. Ask yourself, what am I great at in my business? And what areas do I not enjoy doing? So, do you enjoy doing marketing? Do you enjoy social media? Because today, 99% of businesses have to operate online. And unless you have a brick and mortar business where people are walking in, that's great. But how do we advertise today? Even if you have a brick and mortar and you're advertising to your local community, most people no longer purchase newspapers. So they're going to be looking for advertisements in their local area. So you do have to be advertising online. So do you enjoy online? Do you understand how to market? Do you understand how to promote your own products? Do you understand how to promote your business? Do you understand how to do pricing? Do you understand all of the pieces that need to be taken into consideration when you're doing pricing? Or are you somebody that's looking at your neighbor who's doing something similar and underpricing him, right? How many people out there are underpricing their competitors? I don't believe anybody has a competitor, but underpricing their competitor in hopes that people will see them and purchase from them. You won't be in business long if you're doing that, because you do not take into consideration all of the costs, all of the cost of goods, what's involved in actually producing that. And you've got to take into consideration all the pieces like, the bookkeeping, the accounting, the taxes. All of those pieces are part of the cost of your production, not just the production of making the pie. Right. So this is an important piece you need to look at. You need to have an honest conversation with yourself. Now, if you're like me, like I was in the beginning, I thought, no, I can't afford. How many of you have said, I can't afford, right? I can't afford a bookkeeper. I can't afford an accountant. Let me ask you this question. Have you had a conversation with a bookkeeper? Have you had a conversation with an accountant? Have you even done an exploratory appointment with them to see what it costs? Have you had that conversation and for them to show you where they can save you money, where they can get a picture of your company and what it is that they know that you are going to require or that you're missing out on opportunities? What about cost saving opportunities? What about things like grants that are out there that you're not aware of? I just received a grant I wasn't aware of. If I hadn't had an accountant, I wouldn't know about that grant because I'm working in my business. I'm not in that field of expertise that knows what's available. We miss opportunities all the time as business owners because we think we have to do it all ourselves. If you are thinking you have to do it all yourself, you're probably teetering between being a hobby and being a business because you're not utilizing resources that can help you to succeed, right? I can't even imagine how many businesses failed, great business ideas failed because the business owner was being bullheaded or afraid to tell the truth about where they're scared or where they don't know what they're doing, but they're just pushing through, but they don't want anybody to know because they're embarrassed. Because if somebody knew, then they wouldn't buy from them. That is hogwash. And that is a belief system that you've picked up from somebody that has told you to don't air your dirty laundry, or you don't want the competition to know, or what would people think? Who gives a damn? Who gives a damn what anybody thinks? You being happy and successful is the only thing that matters. It's the only thing that matters. When you are happy in your business, you will succeed 100%. You will, because you're going to continue to move forward in that direction of joy, and joy will attract money. Joy will attract others that are just lit up by watching you be happy in your business. I know it sounds airy-fairy, but it's absolutely the truth. I've talked lots and lots about the law of attraction and how that works in business. It 1000% works in business. It works in every area of our life. But when we start a business, we want to get serious and we don't want to think about that stuff. Why not? It's part of the tools to assist you in succeeding. Okay, we are up to our next break of the show. We're going to talk about more signs when we get back to tell you, am I operating as a business or am I operating as a hobby? Stick around, my friends. You're listening to the Inspired Choices Show. I'm your host, Christine McIver, and you're on the Inspired Choices Network. We'll be right back.
Many of us make choices based on our past experiences or based on what others believe. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire for our futures? When you join the Inspired Choices Show with business optimization expert Christine McIver, you'll be provoked to look at what is true and what you know, but may not choose, that requires your attention. Christine does not hold back. She brings all her expertise to every show. Are you ready to create and live the life you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
How wonderful would it be to carry your favorite Inspired Choices Network host with you throughout your day? Well, now you can. Inspired Choices Network now has its very own mobile app. Our free app offers live streaming shows, along with thousands of podcasts and TV episodes. Our shows cover a wide variety of topics. Whether you're waking up with us, carrying us through the day, and taking us to bed with you, we're always here for you to enjoy. We're easy to find. Just search for Inspired Choices Network in the Apple App Store or Google Play Store.
This is the Inspired Choices Show with business optimization expert Christine McIver. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine at InspiredChoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Welcome back, my friends. And if you're just joining, you're listening to Christine McIver. My show is called Inspired Choices, which is all about business and psychology. And today we're talking about, do you have a business or a hobby? So let me ask you this question. How many of you out there are actually triggered by that question? If you're triggered or curious at all, you may be at times operating as a hobby. Now, how do you know you're operating as a hobby? Let's talk about what's a hobby. A hobby is something you enjoy. A hobby is something that you do part-time, but a hobby is something you do when you want to be distracted, or when you want to break away from the world, or when you want to turn off your life and just get lost in doing something other than the things that stress you out. So if you believe you have a business and you are getting lost in one area of your business, or making excuses about the other areas of the business that must be done that you're not doing, that you think you'll do, but you're not doing at all, you have a hobby. You know you have a hobby instead of a business if you have piles and piles of paperwork that you keep hiding away, hoping that it will go away, or that if you ignore it long enough, it won't matter. You have a hobby. You have a hobby if you are trying to do a business and all you're doing is looking at the bottom line, but actually not taking the intelligent steps forward to succeed in your business. See, that's what a lot of people are doing, is they've decided that the financial bottom line is the only marker for success. No, that's not true. And I'll tell you why that's not true. Because before you can get to the space of having financial success, you need to have other successes in place. You see, the financial piece is the final outcome. But a lot of people have got their focus on the finances, and oftentimes it's kind of like, chasing a cat. If you start to chase a cat, the cat's going to run, right? Most cats are not going to lay down and just let you, although my daughter's does, but it's weird. But most cats, if you start to chase them, they're going to run. That's what happens in your business, in your financial business. If your only focus is in your business, if your only focus is the financial piece of the business. You see, what you're actually doing is you are putting this immense pressure on the finances and immense pressure on yourself. When you're doing that, the underlying trigger for that, the underlying catalyst for that is fear. You're afraid you're not going to have enough money. Well, what's underneath that? A belief system. A belief that you're not going to succeed. And what is under that is somehow you've bought into the lie that you're not good enough, or that you are not able enough. I want to tell you first and foremost, if you've got a desire on your heart, you're able enough. Do you require support? Yes, every single person does. You came to a planet with 8 billion people. There's support everywhere. You're not meant to do it alone. And if you're like me, you've bought the lie that in order to succeed, you have to do it all on your own. I know today that that's not true, but that was one of the things that I bought into, that I had to do it all alone, that in order to be safe and in order to be secure, in order to not get hurt, I couldn't depend on anyone else. I had to do it alone. That's a lie. I don't have to do it alone. But what I do need to do is I need to listen to me. So are you listening to your inner knowing? Are you paying attention to the messages that you're receiving, or are you trying to ignore them? Because so many people are. They absolutely know if the right person asks them a question, they might just come unglued and start to cry, because oftentimes that message that they've been ignoring can't be ignored when someone asks the question of them. It's okay. It's okay. But having your own business can be very emotional. We put our heart into it. We want to succeed. We want to be loved. And part of being loved in business is people liking what we're providing, people saying yes to us. Not everybody's going to say yes. You already know that. But what if you allowing others to support you, you saying yes to a bookkeeper, you saying yes to having a financial advisor once a year sit down and look at everything? What if you actually have somebody come in and look at your systems once a year, come in, maybe once a month, come in and look at your systems, and they provide ideas, they provide updates. Having a business consultant on the payroll even once a year can change your business entirely. I'll tell you something. I had a 15-minute conversation with a business consultant, 15 minutes, and it shifted my business astronomically. It seriously did. She gave me insights that I never thought of, because when we're in our own business, we are so tunnel vision, right? And that's what actually has us operating as a hobbyist instead of a business owner. There are so many pieces to a business, but we are operating in the areas that we feel safe in and that we feel comfortable in. Well, growing, when you have a business, you're going to grow. I'll tell you that right now, you are going to grow. You are going to be challenged time and time again. You're a business owner if you're taking the time to grow you as a business owner, to do your personal development and to continue to upgrade yourself on a business acumen basis. Are you continuing to challenge yourself to grow? Each and every year, the world of business, the world that we know, changes. We have to be able to change and grow with the world around us. That's the world. Now, here's you over here. You, the person that has decided, I want to be a conscious business owner. I want to grow myself. I want to be happy. I want to continue to challenge myself. That's fantastic. That is actually one of the best ways that you know that you're a business owner, that you're not just sitting back doing the day-to-day that you've been doing for the last 10 years and wondering why the business is no longer succeeding. You have to be growing yourself and your business at equal portions to be able to succeed. Identifying the areas that you are not great in is one of the gifts you give yourself and your business in order to succeed. This is when you know you're being serious in a business. You're not being just a hobby, where you're willing to look at, oh, I'm not really great at this. I get stressed out when I think about doing this. Now, let's come back to my accounting example. I was going to be an accountant. I went to school to be an accountant. Am I great with numbers? Yes. Do I love doing like do I love Excel spreadsheets? I love Excel spreadsheets. It's crazy how much I love them. Do I love doing all of the pieces, the balance sheets, the income sheet, the taxes and all that? No. But I was deluding myself thinking that, one, I don't need to hire and spend money with a bookkeeper and accountant because I love numbers and I'm great at Excel and I'm very organized and detailed. Those things are all true. But I don't have the day-to-day knowledge of the bookkeeping today with what's required. I'm not up on the latest software. I am not up on what is required or what's coming down the pipe that I need to be changing and pivoting for my business to take advantage of tax savings, to what do I need to be reporting? How do I need to be reporting it? Have you ever been audited? I'll tell you something. Get audited once and you will run. You will run to an accountant faster than you can imagine. I was audited. I actually had hired an accountant, and this individual was very bad, very, very, very bad. I didn't want to listen to my gut. I ignored my gut by the behavior that this person was doing because I was afraid. I was afraid and I was embarrassed. And so I stayed with this particular accountant. And right after we filed the taxes that year, I got audited. And that cost me thousands of dollars. It cost me thousands of dollars. And I just about quit my business because of it. And I definitely took a fit and I definitely had a meltdown. And then I stepped back and I really had a conversation with myself. And I'm responsible for that. I'm responsible because I, first of all, put it off too long. I was not willing to listen to my inner knowing that this person was not the right fit for me. And that was my wake up call. And I'm grateful for that wake up call because you know what? That wake up call had me make a decision. It was one of those choice moments, right? It was one of those choice points in my life and in my business where I'm deciding, okay, am I going to hold myself accountable and really listen to my inner self, or am I going to just run away and hide? I'm not somebody that runs away and hides. I am someone who will take a break and will, go and lick my wounds, but I won't be gone for long. I will step back up. I will choose what I know on my heart lights me up. And what lights me up is being in my own business, but doing it all myself doesn't work. So how many of you are out there buying the lie that you have to do it all yourself and you're not utilizing the resources that could make your business easier, more fun, and more successful? That's a really big, big piece. Now, here's another big area that you want to be paying attention to is how many of you are operating your business and only showing up when it works for you. One of the biggest challenges to operating a business, especially if you're operating your business from home, is actually treating your business as serious business. How many of you have your kids running in and out? How many of you have your family? You don't want to say to your family, hey, I'm operating my business right now. How many of you are allowing people to push the boundaries of your business walls when you should be doing your business? How many of you are not showing up on a regular calendar time and day operating your business serious? This is something I said to a colleague yesterday. If you're the business owner and you're the business employee, look at yourself as the business employee. Is the business employee doing what's required day in and day out? Let's say 9 to 5, 5 days a week, 9 to 5, 5 days a week. Is that business employee doing what they need to be doing 5 days a week from 9 to 5? And if they're not, ask yourself, should I be firing my employee? If you are not working as a successful business employee with the expectation of what's required day in and day out, if you're not punching the clock and you're not showing up in your business on a regular basis, if you're making excuses and allowing people to push in on your windows, you're operating as a hobby. You need to hold yourself accountable to this. You need to be respectful towards yourself. You need to be doing what it takes. And what it takes is consistency. And when a lot of people started their own business, especially during the pandemic, they weren't consistent, or They didn't have the knowledge, and then they ended up burning themselves out and leaving their business. This is why a lot of businesses don't succeed. It doesn't have to be hard. It's going to be challenging, though. Are you willing to operate as a business? Are you willing to hold yourself accountable to do what's required day in and day out so that your business can be successful? You don't have to kill yourself in doing this, but you've got to be honest with yourself. And you've got to be willing to look at the truth of your actions. We are up for our final break. I've got some more I want to share with you, some ideas and some things that you can start to put into place to operate, to assist you to operate more as a business and leave the hobby for the weekends. So you're listening to Inspired Choices. I'm your host, Christine McIver. We're on the Inspired Choices Network. We'll be right back after this break.
Many of us make choices based on our past experiences or based on what others believe. What would our lives be like if we made our choices based on what we desire for our futures? When you join the Inspired Choices show with business optimization expert Christine McIver, you'll be provoked to look at what is true and what you know, but may not choose, that requires your attention. Christine does not hold back. She brings all her expertise to every show. Are you ready to create and live the life you truly desire? Listen for Inspired Choices every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com.
Are you a subject matter expert? Are you here to share your expertise with an audience waiting to hear from you in only the way you can deliver? Are you ready to have your voice amplified across the airwaves? Inspired Choices Network has a global radio platform streaming to millions of people across the world. Professionally produced and supported by an accomplished team every step of the way, you can broadcast from anywhere in the world, knowing your voice matters, and we ensure it is delivered with ease and efficiency. Eager to hear your message, the world awaits. Contact us today to become an Inspired Choices Network radio host. Email becomeahost@inspiredchoicesnetwork.com.
This is the Inspired Choices Show with business optimization expert Christine McIver. To participate in the program, join our live studio audience in our chat room at inspiredchoicesnetwork.com. You can also make the choice to ask or comment by email by sending to Christine@inspiredchoices.ca. Now, back to the program.
Welcome, my friends. Yes, Christine McIver here with Inspired Choices, a show all about business and the psychology of being in business. Today, we're talking about how do you know if you have a business or a hobby? Well, as I've said throughout today's show, and if you didn't listen to it, go back and listen. As I've said throughout the show, you can wave between being in a hobby or being in a business, operating as a hobby or just playing as a business. You don't have to. You don't have to play as a business. You can truly be in a business, or you can just have a hobby you enjoy. You can have enjoyment in your business, but what's required is the willingness to challenge the truth about what you're great at and where you need support. That's first and foremost. You need to also be honest with yourself and look at what you're avoiding. When you look at what you're avoiding, start asking your questions. Why am I avoiding this? What is it about this task that is really triggering me? The best thing, the absolute best thing you can do is hire a business coach. The top business owners in the world have business coaches. In fact, coaches, just coaches, came from supporting a CEO, because CEOs didn't feel that they could be vulnerable with a colleague in their business or an employee. They didn't want to have a yes person around them. They wanted to be challenged. You see, business owners challenge themselves. And when they got to a certain level, they could no longer really look at the areas that they needed to be challenged in. We get blinders on eventually in our own businesses, and we need people to challenge us, to show us where the gaps are, to show us where we really need to pull our head out of our ass, right? And a lot of people didn't feel that they could trust those around them to be forthright, to challenge them. They were worried that their jobs would be in jeopardy if they told them what they really thought. And in order for them to continue to grow, they needed someone that would really do that for them. That's how coaches started. That's the whole basis of coaches. As a business owner myself, I have business coaches. I have people that challenge me. I have people that support me. I go to business people and I ask them, where am I blocked? What am I doing? And they can see things in me that I can't see. That's going to be the exact same for you. I can tell you right now, if I'd hired a business coach, even a 1-hour consulting time with a business coach at the beginning of my business, I'd probably be 10 years ahead of where I am now in my success and in my dreams. I know this to be true because when I started to actually work with business coaches and work with people that were challenging me and showing me the gaps and showing me where I'm, cutting myself off or I'm ignoring the truth, I started to grow personally and my business started to grow. When I first started my coaching business, that's where I started my business, was in coaching one-on-one. I was charging people $25 an hour. I could not sustain paying my bills at that. Today, I have 5 different businesses under my umbrella of businesses. I have 5 operating businesses and they're all doing good. Now, do I want to grow even more? I do. Am I growing myself? Damn right I am. I'm focusing big time on me and what I'm doing and where I need to be growing. When you're willing to focus on yourself and you're willing to grow yourself and you're willing to put up your hand and ask for help and then no longer ignore those piles of paper and no longer ignore those things that are screaming to you when you're going to sleep at night, when you're willing to face the truth about your actions or your inactions, you're in a business. It's not easy, but it can be if you put your hand up and you ask for support and you ask for help. I love doing what I do. And I'm challenged. There are lots of times that I'm challenged and I want to run away. But at the end of the day, I still say yes. I still want to do my business. If you're in that space, let's have a conversation. Let's change this up. What if one conversation with me would actually propel you forward with your desires, whatever those desires are? Send me an email, Christine@ChristineMcIver.com. And I will set up a conversation. We'll talk honestly and openly, and we'll see what we can do to change this for you. If you are struggling, there is help. Remember that. If you're looking for more guidance and you're not ready to reach out yet, check out, I have hundreds of shows that I have done. Here on Inspired Choices Network, you can find all sorts of shows where people are talking about all sorts of subjects where you need support. And if you're someone who is an expert and you'd like to get your voice to the world, send me an email. Let's have a conversation. We're always looking for experts who are willing to grow themselves and show up in the world to assist other people in growing them as well. So we are going to be with you again next week. Next week's show, we're going to be talking about business as usual. And next week's show, I'm just trying to get the name of it here. 1 second. Next week, we're talking about business choices that make or break your business. It's all about choices next week, which it's always about choices. I believe that the choices that we make in our lives changes everything. And the choices that we make in our business contribute to a life that we desire. My friends, I hope that today's show gave you something that you were really excited about and maybe even like, I need to look at this. If you enjoyed this show, please give us a 5-star review on iTunes. Search for Inspired Choices with Christine McIver. I will be very grateful, and this will assist in getting the information out to those who need it. Remember, my friends, until next week, remember that you can always make another choice. Take good care. We'll see you then.
Thank you for choosing to listen to Inspired Choices Show. Christine McIver will return next Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on InspiredChoicesNetwork.com. We hope you'll join us. Until then, be willing to choose what you really desire. This is your life, making the choices that bring you all that you desire.